You know what my brother said to the podcast of ours he listened to?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What episode?
I don't know which episode it was because I don't think he got through the whole thing, but
Yeah.
he did say that you have a very NPR voice.
Me?
Yeah, you.
What the fuck?
I know.
I thought it was going to be you.
I know. Well, I think it was more like I don't think he meant it as like a radio DJ compliment. I think he meant it more along the lines of like a wet blanket liberal voice.
Okay. Well, I do try to keep it pretty monotone.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I you know, my tones are my tones, man.
You know, I do change up a bit when I'm like recording.
You know, I'm sorry. I just smoked a little bit of weed before starting this podcast, so I'm just gonna. I had a random thought. We were talking about tones. What does the T and Mr. T stand for?
I don't.
Is it Mr. Toned?
It doesn't matter.
All right. Oh, hey. Well, you know what? On the subject of things that don't matter, I stumbled upon something today that was rather funny.
Yeah.
That was professional pillow fighting.
Oh, I've seen that.
And the pillow fighting championships that happened. And I'll be honest, I'd pay to watch that live.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen what you've seen.
Well, as long as it's an open bar.
It's just
it's not very exciting.
It's just a pillow.
Yeah, it's a pillow sack that they hold on to with like a couple of handles.
Yeah.
And they just like flail it around like a pillow fight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like spinning back hands with the pillows, which is kind of fun to watch. It's like every time they spin, I'm expecting a kick at the end, but there just isn't one.
Oh yeah, no kicking allowed. It's like boxing rules.
I also when I was listening to the announcer, it sounded like there's only points for headshots and leg shots, but no body shots.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
I know, that's what I thought too.
Leg shots? How does leg shots count more than body shots?
Well, body shots just don't count at all.
Well, technically,
and
it
I
still
think
counts more.
Maybe the idea is that like your body is just there. It's the biggest part of you, so it's the easiest thing to hit.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Okay, sure. News? What do we got?
We'll see what the new president of Iran has to say in a week or two. I don't know. See, all right,
It's not confirmed that he's dead yet.
Well, I know.
As of recording this.
I know.
As of recording this, we know that the helicopter crashed.
Or no, hey, we don't even know that it crashed. It had a quote hard landing.
I read there was a BBC article saying that.
No, everyone's been describing it as a as a crash, but like the Iranian state news has reported it as a quote hard landing end quote. But it's like the way they described it. It's like it was the middle chopper and 3 choppers, and they were in like fog, and then they had to go down quickly. And it's like, how the hell do you know if it crashed or had a hard landing? You couldn't see in the fog.
I've already seen memes. The IDF is behind the fog.
Oh my God. You know how, like, oh God, you should be careful with that because there's this whole conspiracy theorist about how the Jews control the weather.
Oh, I mean, what are you doing that for? That's not
Yikes.
That's not a thing.
What, that the Jews control the weather? As a conspiracy theory? That totally is a thing.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that there's no need to be...
It's close.
What, the IDF created the fog? It's just a meme.
Yeah, it's pretty close. That's what they would call one of them dog whistles. Which, I was thinking about that the other day, dog whistles.
Yeah.
All right, so like, if a dog whistle is a signal that only a dog can hear, and all these liberal people are telling me about all these fascist dog whistles going on, I think they might be fascist.
That makes sense.
Like, I mean, if they recognize that means that, then it's like, well, how do you know that means that?
Yeah.
It goes to I mentioned before we started recording, I was watching this little daily PBS NewsHour piece, and they were doing a piece on like the upside down flag being a symbol of the January 6th rioters, and I'm just like, what? As far as I understood, that was just like, you do that as a sign of distress. Like if you think something's going on wrong with the country.
Yeah,
like a lot of people during the Trump administration had their flags flying upside down because they felt as though Trump being in power was distressful to the country.
Yeah, I'm sure when I was younger, I'm sure that I've seen that symbol in like shows or movies as a symbol of like, hey, something's fucked up with the country or something like that. Yeah.
Apparently, I looked it up too. It even goes back to like sailors doing the same thing to like, hey, yo, something's wrong with our boat. Can someone come help?
I don't know that.
I didn't know that before like 30 minutes ago, but yeah, it's something I read in a brief little summary at the top of a Google search.
So is that a dog whistle? That symbol is now the
No,
Gen 6.
It's not a dog. Well, it is a dog whistle to people who like to view everything as dog whistles or being like a symbol of fascism. It's something that's frustrated me about like the way that the left has approached like symbolism. It's like, okay, for example, the Gladstone flag, the snake don't tread on me flag.
Okay.
That was old time honored flag of American, like, yeah, don't fuck with us, we won't fuck with you.
Yep.
The Tea Party started using it, and now it's this hard right symbol.
Yeah.
And it's like because people like left leaning media organizations like were like, oh, it's associated with the right wing, so now it's a right wing symbol. I mean, there was a little thing about that with the OK symbol a while back. Like, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 8 years ago.
I don't fucking remember that.
It was silly and stupid. It really was.
Well, good thing it didn't stick.
Yeah, I bet you. I'm sure it's stuck for some people, but I don't think it stuck along the popular culture.
Yeah, I do remember the Tea
Thank
Party
God.
movement. The Tea Party came out with using that flag, and then it just sort of dissolved into the right wing mantra.
Well, it's one of the, the flag itself.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we still have to deal with those Tea Partiers.
I don't know. I think I want to become like one of my friends she's like super smart and like she actually works in local politics, but she's like, I don't pay attention to politics.
I think I'm there. I think I've hit that point. Really, I think
She's like, I don't care and I don't want to know.
I'm deciding right now. My decision for the upcoming presidential election is: do I not vote at all, or do I vote for Vermin Supreme?
I think
I'm going to vote for Vermin Supreme.
Sure, free ponies.
Well, one of the funnier things I saw him post about and talk about was Vermin Supreme will take away your guns.
Oh shit!
And give you better ones.
Dang, we got a free upgrade.
I know. I like that. I like that policy.
Thanks, Mr. Vermin.
It's Mr. Supreme.
Sorry. Okay, you have a Smith & Wesson. What do you think you would get?
Maybe a SIG.
Fucking rocket launcher.
Yeah. Oh God. I saw this post the other day.
Open
It's like
carry. Conceal carry.
I could still carry an S-Law or something like that. No, I saw this post where it was like when the Second Amendment was written, the military powers had access to cannons and muskets, and so we had access to cannons and muskets.
Mm-hmm.
The modern equivalent of that is, I want access to a Javelin anti-tank missile. I want to be able to buy a Javelin anti-tank missile.
Yeah.
And maybe some FPV drones.
I mean, the FPVs, you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Plastic explosives. You can do that by yourself.
You can make napalm.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah. What is it? Gasoline, styrofoam.
Gasoline and styrofoam. There's another way to make it. No, there's also a way to make nitroglycerin using orange juice concentrate, but I don't know the whole process.
Yeah.
I also don't know if it's just as simple as adding gasoline to styrofoam.
It's not.
I think there's something more to it.
It's not specifically napalm. Like, that's not what you're making, but you're
making a sticky, flammable substance.
Yes, that's what you're doing. And you just get the goop of the styrofoam with the added gasoline, and it just burns pretty horrendously. So, yeah, don't do that. Unless you want to. Because it's America.
Unless you're going to Vietnam.
Yeah, or you're...
Or I guess Japan, too. We firebombed the fuck out of Japan.
Or you're building a moat around your house.
Were you building a fire moat?
Yeah. I think it'd be a pretty cool project. Let's say we have like a couple acres, right? Somewhere in the woods, right?
Okay, I'm just saying.
Hold on. Let me finish my idea.
Look, hey, it's a cool idea. I like it. I just want to say one thing. And that is,
You didn't let me finish.
why add the fire to the moat if you already have a moat?
You didn't let me fucking finish, dude.
Go ahead and finish.
It's a spectacle.
Okay.
It's not practical.
Okay. Spectacle.
Yeah. So we just create a giant ring of fire for a while. Maybe dance around it or dance inside of it.
I was going to say, I thought the ring was supposed to be in the moat on the outside of the castle.
Yeah. There was some environmental news I remember, but it's escaping me. We'll come back to it, folks. Ukraine has been going crazy with striking Russia's oil production facilities.
Oh, you're going a direction I did not expect. Oh, shit. I almost had a technical difficulty there.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about the Russian push into the Kharkiv region.
I mean, those are pretty tides. So.
Oh, right, because like the state TV goal, the stated goal by Russia of doing this is to create a quote unquote buffer zone so that Ukraine will stop shelling Belgorod as much.
Yeah, but they weren't before, so it's just.
They were shelling it a bit. Yeah. I mean, not like shelling it with like artillery barrages, but they were sending some drones to try to blow up the refineries in that city.
Well,
And
now they're doing it
logistics.
to the whole country, so it's not like they can be like, "Hey, it's just Belgorod. We're gonna invade because of Belgorod."
I agree they're doing it to the whole country. Belgorod's been hit the most because it is the closest.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's just there's no point because it's if they can hit something 1,000 kilometers away, they're gonna hit your Belgorod area regardless of anything you do.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, like what most people think, and this is what I think it's true too, is that Russia's pushing in there so that Ukraine has to divert troops there, so that Russia can keep pushing with its advance in the east, and then take more of the Donbass. And then eventually, if Ukraine's like, no, we won't have peace, even if we won't accept any loss of territory, and Russia keeps pushing through, then eventually they'll go to try to take Kharkiv, like the whole oblast.
That just seems so fucking insane.
But that's like 2 years out.
That's so insane. That's another like 500,000. No. So there was this thing, an analyst, military analyst, that was saying that to take the major cities like Bakhmut, which was 70K, prior to the
Are you
conflict,
talking about casualties? 70K in casualties?
there were 70K people living. In
The
Bakhmut.
population.
And Russia, the numbers say that between like 60K people, casualties to take the city. So about 1-to-1. It's about a 1-to-1 thing. And also in Avdiivka, similar, I think it was like 20-something thousand population prior to the conflict. And Russia suffered about 20,000 casualties to take the city.
Yeah, but the thing is,
So they were saying with Kharkiv, which is like 1 million people, 1-to-1.
1-to-1 doesn't work that way though. Like, because remember, Russia took Kharkiv at the beginning of the war.
Just barely.
What do you mean just barely? They held it for months. And then in the counteroffensive that Ukraine did, they took it back.
Yeah, but that was just barely.
Just barely. That was for months. This war's only been going on just barely. And so anyway, they had taken it. And it's a matter of like those cities in the east. Those front lines have existed for like at this point now, 10 years.
Yeah.
Because they've been there since the first flare-up of fighting back in 2014.
Yeah.
And so these are super heavily defended and super heavily entrenched positions, which is part of the reason why Russia has been suffering such high casualties in those fights. I mean, Russia's tactics are also not great. They do that.
Apparently, it's
Speaking of Russia and military, how about the defense minister shakeup?
Oh, he got like repositioned.
Yeah,
he
he
didn't
got-
even get fired or anything.
That's what happens in these. He's too much of a public figure and has too much of a backing that they can't get rid of him. So he just moves him into a different position and puts someone else in charge of what he was doing.
So the new guy's an economist.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
He looks pretty, I don't know, Machiavellian.
I'm wondering
he
if
has a lizard face.
I'm wondering if the
Shoigu
Russian
did not have
logistics will get better with an economist running the situation. But I also wonder if an economist will be even worse than the previous general, in that it's like just numbers on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm gonna go towards that.
I lean towards that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Since we're talking about the conflict, I want to focus on the tech side. Right now, saw a piece of drone production facility in Ukraine that is producing a lot of drones now, and also working on new technology for these drones. Autonomous deployment is one of these technologies. So currently, most of the FPV drones are manually operated, and you have to drive it or fly it to the target. And sometimes there is interference, electronic warfare interference. So they just send out these massive high impulse, high energy frequencies that stop the drone communicating to the pilot. So it breaks up that connection. That's one way to combat these drones. So to mitigate this,
my favorite way to combat the drones is with just this scope that only lets you fire that only will let the gun fire when it has a shot on the drone. But that's just I think it's kind of cool.
That sounds expensive.
Oh God, yeah, of course. But so are these, electronic interference systems.
True. But you can just point something at it. And also there's these broad nets of interference, right? So like if a drone enters this net of interference, it's just going to start losing signal. So that's another problem. And then there's also this drone electronic warfare equipment interferes from drones getting deep into enemy held territory, because the drone will just drop its connection.
Yeah, it'll help prevent deep penetration to the enemy lines.
So what they're working on is AI guided targeting. So let's say someone's flying the drone, right? Or someone just can pre-plan the flight path, and then as soon as the drone enters this cloud of
no more signal
blocking
interference.
Interference, it switches to an AI automated system. So it's no longer receiving information from a receiver or a pilot. It is now autonomously seeking for the target and destroying it. All right, and they didn't go into too much detail on how to problem solve this, or with the code. But I think I can figure out that they've been testing some pretty rudimentary stuff. Like example, just train the AI to know what a tank is, right? Just any tank. But let's put now parameters into that.
Yeah, also identify where on the tank is weak, where you want to hit.
Right, but no, you make this super simple. Yeah, you can do that. Go right below the turret, because the Russian tanks have an autoloader and their ammo is right around the turret.
It's in the turret. That's why the turret tops keep popping off.
Yeah.
Or you can hit its engine and burn it out, and they'll be stuck there.
So to problem solve something simple is just fly this drone towards the enemy's direction, right? And then the AI activates, and now you just have a parameter that says tanks behind your current position are friendlies, tanks in front of your current position are enemies, and then the drone just does its thing.
Finds the tank that it's looking for. Finds an enemy tank, and
just in the forward position. It's pretty simple. It's just
because you're just saying beyond when you going ahead of you, bad, behind, good.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm curious. Would that then also when it if it keeps going in search of a target, but it doesn't find one that it can get, if it passes a Russian tank, does that then fall into the non-target zone? It only has to move forward, or does it remember the zone at which the targetable location starts?
That's. I think that would be something simple to.
Yeah, I think so.
To program. Another thing they're working on is swarms.
Yeah.
So same technology.
This is making me think of Terminator, bro.
This guy.
We're all gonna die at the hands of the Cylons.
This guy prior to the conflict.
I know those are two different things.
This guy prior to the conflict was a software engineer, and then when the conflict started, he had some people reach out to him and started working together on drone projects, and now they have this whole company. And since I mentioned this before in an episode prior, a long time ago, Ukraine had a bunch of IT companies and infrastructure set up prior to the conflict, because a lot of things were outsourced to Ukraine.
Cheap labor, yeah.
A lot of IT stuff was outsourced to Ukraine. So they had all this knowledge. So that's why we get to see the procurement and use of these drones. I know it's not as popular or visible as the flying drones, but they are making use a lot of ground drones as well.
Yeah,
and
and sea drones. Yeah, the
and
sea
boat
drones.
You know what they're doing next? They want to do put autonomous vehicles and just attach some anti-air missiles onto that boat and just drive it as close to the coast. And if they see any like helicopters that try to shoot it down, they're just gonna shoot at the helicopter. And if they can shoot the helicopter, they still have a payload in the boat.
Yeah, the boat,
so the boat can
go
continue.
and explode itself. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. It made it sound like you're like, okay, this drone boat will drive right up next to a Russian boat, and then it'll fire the missile off right into the side of the Russian boat and drive off and go hit another boat.
No, so what they're doing, Russia started like locating these autonomous boat drones, and then they just send out choppers and they just shoot at it.
Yeah, I'll mow it down with heavy machine gun fire.
Yeah, so there was one already in the works, a boat attached with a AA missile on it, but it got destroyed, or like it didn't make it. But that's one thing. Oh, ground drones. They are used to clear out trenches.
Yeah, see what's going on in the trench too.
That, and they also
I've seen some videos of like these like little like tracked drones with packed full of explosives.
Yeah.
Just drive into a trench system and detonate, and like the whole trench system, like the whole little like chunk of forest is gone.
So the swarm is coming, according to this guy, midsummer or just summer, but probably late summer. And so in midsummer, late summer, we're going to start seeing videos of drone swarms attacking Russian positions on top of AI. He says that AI will be instilled in these drone swarms.
You know, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, I just had this flash in my mind of this swarm of drones coming over the horizon towards these Russian trenches with Ride of the Valkyries playing.
They could have some dubstep playing. Dude,
just like the Apocalypse Now, you know.
A lot of the Ukrainian brigades, they release their own content. So they have their observational drone footage and FPV footage, and then a lot of the times they add their own music to it. It's shit. So many, like 90% of the time it's just shit music.
Oh, I bet. You know, it just made me think. Actually, I remember pretty early on in the war, there was this incident where, like a barracks full of foreign volunteers in Ukraine was blown up by Russia, and part of the reason that it might not have been a barracks full of foreign recruits was blown up. I don't remember by who. I think it was Ukrainian recruits blown up by Russians. And like a day or two before this happened, there was some social media open and public posts from that barracks of all these guys with the location.
That's stupid.
It's very stupid, and I'm glad to see that they've learned since then, aren't getting themselves blown up. Hang on, I'm gonna let you lead the charge for a moment. I'm gonna go grab a last bit of coffee from over there.
Okay, we could just pause here.
No, entertain the people while I go fix my...
All right, I could talk about more AI stuff.
Yeah, talk about AI and all that jazz.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so he went to go get some coffee. So yeah, this guy was saying that summer of this year, 2024, they'll start deploying swarm technology onto the Russian enemy, as well as AI guided drone warfare tech, which is just crazy. A thing I've seen that the Russians are doing to combat the drones is develop like new shotguns for it, or attachments to already available weapons that essentially make their weapon a shotgun, and then you can have a shot at the drone. Ukraine has been promised 1 million new drones from the EU nations. I think there was a agreement between several EU states to procure and send Ukraine 1 million more drones by the end of this year, on top of the 300,000 that Ukraine can already produce, and with its capacity increasing as well. Oh, and China is supporting components for both Ukraine and Russian operations.
Money, money, money. Oh, I almost dropped my coffee. Money, money, money is what the Chinese are after. You know what they say. If you want Chinese dollars, you're going to have to lower your expectations of freedom.
What?
Actually, I think the quote is, if you want to suckle at the teat of China, you got to lower your expectations of freedom. It's from South Park. It's an old South Park episode, Banned in China, when the boys start a metal band and try to get a movie deal in the works, but they have to deal with the Chinese censors.
Yeah, China's selling components to both Ukraine and Russia, so deal with that what you will.
We briefly mentioned at the beginning of this conversation the helicopter incident.
Yeah.
I was going to say something before we got off on the tangent of Jewish fog. The fog of...
I just said IDF. But go on.
Whatever. You know what I mean. The Israeli Defense Forces.
Go on, dude.
Oh, God, where was I? No, I was wondering if, two options. One, what if he was assassinated? What if he was externally assassinated by the IDF?
What if he was internally assassinated?
That was my other suspicion. What if he was internally assassinated for not retaliating to the last Israeli strike? That hang on, let me get my retaliation straight. Maybe they were mad at him for not retaliating to Israel's retaliation to their retaliation to Israel's retaliation. There, I think I covered them all.
I think, yeah, that makes sense. But they fucked up because Iran essentially stated, we attacked Israel due to their assassination of our top general, and as blah, 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 we conclude this matter closed.
Yeah, and then Israel launched a strike onto their territory and blew up like a anti-missile battery in an air defense system in the center or south of the country.
Really?
And then Iran did nothing.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
It happened I think it happened not on Ramadan. That's the Muslim holiday on
Yom Kippur.
Yeah, no,
it's not.
That was back in October. That's the whole point of the Hamas attack. No, whatever Jewish holidays
they have several. They have several holidays. I don't know them. I'm not well versed.
I mean, if you think about it, pretty much all of the major religions have several holidays.
But they have more.
The Jews?
Yep.
Do they?
I think so.
Are you counting each day of Hanukkah as a holiday?
No. They have 3 or 4 main days or more than that. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I just don't.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think I remember hearing that.
Yeah.
There was another after they said this matters.
After they said this matters concluded, Israel launched a missile strike. It was an overnight thing, maybe a week later.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do remember that. And then they did
Passover.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
That's what it was. They launched the attack on the weekend of Passover.
Yeah.
Because they were we're not letting this one pass over, bitches.
Oh, yeah, and that was after the U.S. told them to cool it.
Yeah, where Biden said, and if I remember correctly, I'm quoting him accurately, take the win.
Yeah, take the win.
Take the win.
Yeah. What an American thing to say.
I know, it's such an American thing. Also, maybe the best advice that I've heard given in this entire conflict. Take the win.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? There was a Slovakian president that almost got assassinated.
Yeah, their prime minister was shot, I think.
Yeah, he's not dead. He lived.
He's in critical condition in the hospital or something like that.
But again, there is no official statement as to why or who's behind it.
I think it was some person who was very anti the nationalist wing of the government that he was a part of.
Apparently, this president was pretty shady. Not just because like they'll say that he was pro-Russia and that this might be involved in like that might have to do with this, right? But he was also just a shady person overall. Like he had a bunch of like dealings with like possibly mafia,
mobsters,
so
the criminal underground.
So he's deep. He's deep in there.
He has ties to the Yakuza.
So we don't know what the fuck is up with this guy. But yeah, they will no longer be publicly, walking with the people. Because if you've seen the video, this guy's just walking like down, like out of a building, and there's like people waiting for him to say hello, and everyone's just like hello, and then this guy just literally next to him pulls out a gun and like does shoot him. Yeah.
Kill John Lennon. Kill John Lennon.
I don't know what you're referencing.
John Lennon's already dead, son. Kill Ronald Reagan. It's Catcher in the Rye inspired a couple of different people to try to kill people. Catcher in the Rye, the book, inspired the guy who shot and killed John Lennon, and it also inspired the guy who shot and tried to kill Ronald Reagan.
God damn it! Reagan should have died.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was in his second term, so most of his damage was already done.
Fuck! Am I a terrible person for saying that?
No, although I wish Reagan would have been assassinated before he introduced the conception of modern day gun legislation.
He did that. I don't know. I don't know anything.
All of modern day gun control legislation is modeled off of what he did in California as governor in the 1960s.
Because to curtail the Black Panther movement.
Yeah, the Black Panther movement. There was this one thing that happened in particular where they did a protest at the state capitol, an armed protest. Because prior to this, California was a constitutional carry state, which means it's just no laws about it. You can carry. It's in the Constitution. It's what you're allowed to do as an American, as a free American. And, Ronald Reagan saw black people armed at the state capitol and went, black people with guns, scary, and worked to ban it. And now Democrats, ironically, who are supposed to be the progressive group who are pro-black people, push those exact same laws that were designed to prevent black people from keeping themselves armed.
But now they push it onto everyone.
No, the law from its inception was to apply to everyone.
Oh.
But it was because black people were arming themselves.
Yeah.
And then, with all the recently, like a few years ago, we had that case with New York and their restrictions on getting a concealed carry permit. Like, you need to show proof of your need to protect yourself to the police for them to give it to you, and just more concealed carry permits were issued to rural areas than were issued to the New York City population, even though I think you could make a better argument that the people in the city need it more than the people in the rural areas, given the rates of crime.
Yeah. Though New York City,
I'm not saying it has high crime.
Has relatively lower crime, but I also
mean relatively lower to the upstate New York? Probably not. No.
Compared to the other major
U.S. cities, yeah, for sure.
But also apparently the NYPD underreports stuff because every department does, every major city.
Yeah, of course they do.
But New York was notorious for doing it a while ago. So
I saw this
no one knows.
PBS Frontline documentary just last week about police cover up of police deaths and people who've died in police custody as not as a result of a gunshot, but people who were given, and in many of these cases it's someone who's having a psychological distressing situation. The police restrain them too much or too heavily, and then give them a giant sedative and then lie them on their stomachs. And it's you give someone a sedative, they're not supposed to be on their stomach because they'll stop breathing and die. And a lot of these instances were reported by the coroners, because the coroners are often on the side of the cops, as drug overdose or drugs or anything they can use to explain it as that absolves the cop from the responsibility of what their use of force and escalation of force resulted in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all over the country. People are just dying by the cops, and the cops are saying, no, it wasn't that bad.
Oh my gosh. There was a officer that was shot and killed here in Chicago a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hear about it on the news, but I was driving around and I saw the Wilbur Wright's flags at half-mast. And I was like, why are they at half-mast? So I just Googled, why are Chicago flags half-mast? And yeah, the governor ordered a statewide decree to fly the flags at half-mast because
I noticed that.
a Chicago officer was shot and killed.
I noticed that last week. There were some flags flying half-mast. I didn't think to look it up. Why?
Yep. Okay, so this officer... Fuck, I forgot the story. But I think he was near his home or just like coming from work, right? And some incident happened and then he was just shot and killed.
There was an incident in my old neighborhood
Hold
a while back.
on. The story continues. So Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, doing the mayor thing, he didn't want to, but like, I guess there's a procedure for the mayor to like attend the fallen police officer's funeral.
Yeah.
And then the family was like, no, we don't want the mayor, which is fine. It's not even political. Like, they're just like, we don't want media at our funeral, right?
This is a private thing. We want it to be our own thing.
Yeah, right.
Which, hey, I'll be honest. If I were the family of someone who died and like some public figure wanted to show up who I didn't know, I'd be like, no, fuck off. I don't know you.
Okay, so
send me a letter.
So the mayor,
condolences.
so the mayor, like, is going through this process, and then like there's like some meeting he's at, but there's media waiting for him outside, right? This motherfucker, he like gets out of like wherever he's at, and then just runs.
The mayor.
He literally starts running towards his car to avoid the media, and then there's like two reporters that like actively like also run. They're like, Mr. Mayor, where are you running?
Mr. Mayor, are you running a half marathon? Did you sign up for a 5K today?
And then he just got in his car and then he just left. And the whole like media crew that was waiting for him outside this event, they're like, what the fuck?
When did this happen?
Like 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh my god. I just saw there's this donut shop not far from here that I really like called Something Sweet Donuts, and they just posted some photos of like the mayor coming in to visit, probably doing some small business promoting kind of thing or outreach, and I'm thinking I've got this image of him in this nice political suit running down the sidewalk of Chicago away from a group of journalists all shouting, Mr. Mayor, why are you running?
Yeah. It's hilarious. I think, hold on, maybe we can pick it up on audio. I have it saved on my phone.
What?
It's like a 40, it's like
the clip of him
40-second clip
running?
and you hear just people like yell at him for like running. Hold on.
Did you see any footage of him running?
Barely.
Oh, hold on.
Just barely. But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard Brandon Johnson speak positively about the city. I don't think I've ever heard him in any of his speeches talk about how great this city is, or just speak positively of it. And like I thought about it the other day, and it really upset me because on Reddit, on the Chicago subreddit, there was discussion on like what he's doing, and he hasn't said anything positive about the city. Like, how can you be our mayor and just be lame?
And you can't even like give us a shout out, yo. What the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you're listening, which I know you're not, if you're listening, why you gotta be such a bummer and like not hype us up, man?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yarrick doesn't get it.
I can't find the clip. It's all right.
It's okay. We weren't gonna show it anyway.
Well, you can hear the reporters.
I know. I
Mr.
was a
Mayor,
joke because we
Mr.
don't have a
Mayor.
camera set up yet.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
It was so funny. Yep. I met Ram Emmanuel. And I dude, whenever he spoke, he always mentioned the city.
Did you feel his half finger?
He had cold hands. He had cold, clammy hands.
You know, one of his, I think his middle finger on his right hand, one of his middle fingers, it's missing like half of the tip of it.
Really?
Yeah, apparently when he was a teenager, like in high school, he was working at an Arby's and he cut his finger on the meat slicer and he just wrapped it up, went to swim in the lake, it got infected and he had to have it cut off.
I think I shook his hand, dude.
A friend of mine, he said he shook his hand and he felt it and it was weird. He's like, I didn't know that about him.
Yeah,
and so it just threw me off.
You're right, because
my
I
God.
remember him. I was sitting down and he put his hand on my back, but it was his left hand.
I think it was his right hand. That was the one that was cut. But regardless.
Dude, I felt his energy. It was weird because it was like, a commanding energy, but also just kind of cold.
Yeah, because he's a sociopathic politician.
Just very cold. And I was like,
Okay, I shouldn't
ooh.
say that. I don't know if he's a sociopath, but he's definitely a politician.
No, I don't know. I at the time I was still very ignorant and a novice in the world of like how different people will have these different auras and energies. How old was I? 20? I think I was 20.
It just makes me think when we're talking about that. Like I got the similar energy or vibe from Blagojevich when I've met him because I went to grade school with his kid.
Yeah.
And God, I remember the last time I saw him was I don't know, probably 2 years ago. He was out of prison again since Trump commuted his sentence, and he was singing a bunch of, I think, Johnny Cash songs over at this bar called Martyrs on Lincoln.
Yeah.
Lincoln and like Irving or something like that, near that area.
He's just hanging out over there.
Hanging out, singing and dancing and whatnot. And then as he finishes his set, he just, right before he leaves, he leans into the mic and goes, "Just remember, I never raised your taxes," and then leaves. And I was like, good ending. And then, whatnot, all the jazz, but God.
He actually also, I think, helped maintain all kids programs, which is healthcare for all kids.
Yeah.
So good job, Rob.
Rod.
Sorry.
Rod. Good job, Blago.
Yeah, Blago.
Yeah. Turns out I found out he had a band in prison.
What?
Yeah, rock band. They would play, and I'm like, this makes a lot of sense.
Dude, high-end Fed prison. Was he in Fed?
Yeah, he was in a white collar federal penitentiary in like Colorado, I think.
Yeah, they send all like the book criminals.
The non-violent criminals. It's where they send the non-violent criminals that they kind of like.
Yeah, it's like a country club.
With walls.
They get to hang out
and guard posts.
Yeah,
but they probably are relatively comfortable there.
Yeah. It's not like
I don't know how much. I don't know if I should say this.
I don't think there's much of it if that's where you're going.
Yes, I was referring to anal.
What the fuck? Oh, I gotta bleep that out. You can't say that word on YouTube.
Which one? Anal or at all?
Nope.
Well, I don't like that. And it's not a matter of that, like, I feel like I should be free to say this word. Like, that legitimately makes me feel like YouTube is making it harder for bleep survivors to, like, find community and talk about their...
Yeah, you gotta...
Moving on.
You gotta say grape.
Oh, my God. Have you ever seen the Whitest Kids You Know special sketch, The Grapist?
No.
It's this guy, he comes up with this marketing strategy for a grape soda commercial, and it's this guy, he busts into the kid's door, and he goes, "I'm gonna grape you in the mouth."
What the fuck?
And the commercial, and like this one executive keeps stopping the commercial, like, "I keep hearing, I'm gonna bleep you in the mouth." No, he's not, he's gonna grape them. He's the grapist. The what? Oh no! But then it's just it ends with the grapist commercial replaying, and the last line you hear out of the grapist is, then I'm gonna take your mother and your father and tie them to the radiator and grape them for decades and decades. Oh my God.
Was this a soda commercial?
It was a fake soda commercial. It was a sketch about soda company executives watching a pitch for a soda commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the type of thing that would get whoever made that canceled nowadays.
Oh my God, dude! The first fucking episode of Whitest Kids You Know has the Hitler rap, and I think the chorus goes HITLER, rolling down the street in my fancy car. It's like it's the main guy Trevor Moore, like dressed as Hitler, standing in like a Bentley or something. Oh God, it was so fucking ridiculous. And then the final season of that show, they did a recurring sketch series at the end of every episode called The Civil War on Drugs, and it's been compiled into a full hour-and-a-half long movie you can find on probably on YouTube still.
Yeah.
But it's just The Civil War on Drugs. It's about a couple of stoners who think that the Civil War is about people who want to ban the weed stuff and people who want to not keep the weed stuff legal.
That's crazy.
And then they win it for the Union on accident, and then when they meet Lincoln, find out that no, it was actually about slavery the whole time.
There's a story I heard recently during a battle in Virginia. I forget which battle, but it's between Robert E. Lee and what's the Union general?
I mean, there's a lot of them. You mean the one in the head, Grant?
Grant, yeah.
Ulysses S. Grant.
Yeah. So this was like at the climax of the battles. So there's a giant battle, and it's a giant landscape, right? And one of these areas, there's like a specific little forest area where a battle took place. Sundersfield. That's a specific little battle. There was like, cannons being fired, positions advancing towards the enemy. There's like a crater from like a cannon. There's a guy just chilling there, and then like I think a Confederate soldier jumps in there to also take cover, but he finds the Union guy already in there, and they're like, all right, you're my prisoner of war. And he's like, no, you're my prisoner of war. so they
draw, motherfucker.
So they're like, fuck it, we're gonna fight. So they like climb out of the little crater and just start fist fighting to decide who's prisoner of war.
Well, that made me think of two things. Did you ever see the?
Hold on, the story is not over.
Oh golly!
And supposedly they start fighting, and like the end, like both positions aren't that far away. They're just like heading in the tree lines. And then, like, the fighting just stops because they see these two motherfuckers just
bare knuckle brawling
in the mid of the field. So they just start kind of like rooting for their guy.
It's like warfare has gone full circle, and we're back to the champion fighting for the whole army.
So yeah, so they're fighting for a while. Ultimately, the Confederate soldier wins. He just I think he like knocks him good in his head, and the Union guy just like stumbles to the floor. But surprisingly, the Union guy is like, all right, I guess I'm your prisoner of war, and so they go back to the Confederate lines.
Meanwhile, the fighting has remained stopped.
I think once like the fighting was over, everyone started shooting each other.
Okay, yeah. Once the fight, I was figuring like, yeah, once that fight's over, they're probably like, wait, hang on, there's a whole fucking army over there. We gotta try to kill.
Yeah.
God, did I ever tell you the story about the I think it's called the Maine potato incident?
No.
So in World War II, one of my great uncles was on the ship. There's this ship out in, oh God, what was it called? So it was the Pacific Ocean during the Pacific Theater. It's called the USS O'Bannon. It's a destroyer, and it came across a Japanese sub that was surfaced at night in the ocean. Mm-hmm. And the captain was like, "Let's fucking ram them." And so they start speeding towards the U-boat, perpendicular.
Okay.
And right as they're about to crash into it, like the XO is like, "Wait a minute, guys. what if they're laying mines? We'll blow ourselves up. So they just cut the wheel and pull right up alongside the sub. And they could see that on top of the sub are sailors, Japanese sailors, who are sleeping and
shit.
waking up to a fucking American destroyer right over them.
Yeah.
But the destroyer was so close that it couldn't actually point its guns down and shoot the sub.
Yeah.
But the sub had a deck gun that if they had gotten to, they could have fucked up the destroyer pretty well.
Okay.
So the sailors reach into their storage bins that are on deck and grab the first thing they can find, and their bins are filled with potatoes from Maine. So they grab potatoes and they're just throwing the potatoes at the Japanese. And the Japanese, it's pitch dark, middle of the night.
Yeah.
They're seeing these little round objects coming at them, and they're thinking, "Oh my fucking god, they're throwing grenades at us."
Yeah.
So the Japanese are picking the potatoes back up and throwing them back at the Americans. And so these two sides are just hucking spuds at each other for minutes until the destroyer gets far enough away where its guns could actually shoot the submarine, and it shot and sunk the submarine.
That's fucked up.
Yep, it's called the Maine Potato Incident. The American ship was the USS O'Bannon.
That's so fucked up.
It is. It's
For 2 minutes, they're fighting for their life.
Fighting for their life, and it's like, and that's got to be some level of. Like the first Japanese sailor who realized these aren't grenades, they're fucking potatoes.
So them to dive down, dive down.
No. You mean you got guys on the deck? You can't dive down with guys on the deck.
Well, the guys at the bottom could have survived.
Yeah, maybe. They were probably just up there recharging their batteries, doing something like that.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I love silly little war stories like that, things like that are fun.
Because it happens, you know.
It does. Like these little weird oddities happen in war that are just like, that's fucking, like the bear Wojtek.
What's that?
Oh, there was this Polish artillery brigade.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the story where they were coming back from the Soviet Union through Iran and the Middle East, and they came across a Syrian brown bear, adopted it, and then it ended up like getting a battlefield commission of the rank of corporal.
Yeah, because it would help move ammo.
Yes, it would carry boxes of artillery ammunition, and they fed it beer and cigarettes. Like, it would just eat the cigarettes. And I think at the end of the war, like it was originally a private, and then because of how well it performed at the Battle of Monte Carlo, it was promoted to corporal. At the end of the war, that Polish regiment, or that Polish artillery brigade, they went back to Scotland, where there's apparently a pretty high or a pretty large affiliation between Polish expats and Scotland.
Okay.
And the bear then lived in the Edinburgh Zoo for the rest of its life and died in Edinburgh.
Wow. Wait, so this was a Polish regiment or a Soviet regiment?
Polish regiment. But it was fighting the Soviets.
Right.
When the Soviets invaded Poland from the east 2 weeks after the Nazis invaded from the west.
Okay.
And then
how the fuck did it get to Afghanistan?
They went down through the Caucasus. They were captured, and they couldn't go through the Nazi-occupied way. They were already behind the Soviet lines, and so they went down through the Caucasus and then through like Armenia, northern Turkey, Iran, Syria, and then hooked up with the Allies and French in Syria.
Oh, gotcha.
And then from there went to help France fight in Egypt, or France, Britain, and England, and America fight in Egypt as well as Italy.
That's so funny. They just grabbed a bear.
Yeah, there's fucking pictures of the bear too, hanging out, and it's wild.
It's moving shells while like they're like under fire. It's so hilarious.
Munching on cigarettes.
Yeah. Going back to, I think right now, the conflict in Ukraine, some silly stories have happened where like, it's tragic, but like there was this one guy who this Russian soldier defeated the FPV drone. He was just walking like to, I guess, back to camp or something with a sack of potatoes, and there was an FPV drone coming at him. So there's multiple angles of this. I think there's like the observation one and the FPV.
Yeah.
Like the FPV's coming, and then he like hurls the sack of potatoes at the FPV drone, and then saves his life.
Oh my god. Lucky son of a bitch.
I know.
Because those things are packed with a pretty heavy duty load of explosives sometimes.
He like hurled it and like it just like incapacitated the thing. But like, you know, because it's just a big bulky sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
It's just gonna get the drone.
If the drone hits it, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah. So yeah. So stuff like that. And there was this other guy who like he found the washing machine, like the bin for the washing machine, right? So he put it on his head. So the drone came and like, boop. I think he died, but
I was gonna say I don't think that's enough protection from a FPV drone.
But his head was intact.
Okay, yeah. His head was intact, but his brain was liquid.
I don't know.
I don't know. Concussive force that goes to your head.
I don't know how that works.
God.
I don't know a lot of what these small drone grenades do, because there's two types of drones. Ones that drop grenades.
Yeah. And then there's the FPV ones, which are the ones that crash in.
That blow up. They're
like the suicide drones.
Yeah. So a lot of these grenades have shrapnel.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point of the grenades. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think all of them do. But like I think
they also a lot of the times what I've noticed they'll put the drone at a height where when the grenade falls, by the time the 3-second fuse is through, it hasn't actually hit the ground yet. It's still in the air, probably about a foot or a meter above the ground, which does more damage. And it makes it harder for you to duck and hide, because if a grenade's on the ground and you dive to the floor, the grenade explodes and goes up in every direction, but sideways essentially, because it can't really go sideways because there's the ground in the way.
Yeah.
That's why ducking like that. But if it's like a meter in the air, then shrapnel's going to go every direction no matter what. Like lying down's not like it'll help you a little bit, but it won't help you as much as if the grenade's on the ground.
Yeah.
And so the Ukrainians were timing it so that the grenades would explode in the air and do more damage.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Well, we've been at it for about like an hour. Do you want to wrap this up and come back record another episode next week?
Yeah, I think we've covered what I think was on our minds. And pretty topical.
You know what?
What?
Is it too soon to make a Kobe joke about Iran?
I don't know where you could possibly lead to that, but go ahead.
They both died in helicopter crashes. If he's dead.
That was a very bad joke. That's not even funny.
I didn't even make a fucking joke.
You said joke.
Oh my fucking god, we do need a camera so people can see how frustrated I am. I said I was going to make a joke about, and then I described the situation or subject of what the joke would be. That's not making a joke. That's saying what I would want to make a joke about.
All right, do the joke.
I don't have a joke.
Commit.
I don't have a joke.
You see?
I was trying to think of one earlier, but couldn't. I was distracted.
Tune in next week. I will try to describe the Gateway Project to you guys.
Yeah, Yarik's been on this shit earlier. He'll describe the Gateway Project, and I will roll my eyes violently. No, I won't. I'll have an open mind, and we'll have updates. Did the Iranian president survive?
Tune in next time. Same bat channel, same bat time. We'll find out if the Iranian president is dead or not.
Kobe out.